My name is Jacqueline Youngblood. I am one of the co-leads of the Boston Public Schools Experience Lab, which is a team out of the Mayor's Office of New Urban Mechanics here in Boston. So the New Urban Mechanics team is Boston's sort of civic innovation, civic research and design team, and we are these sort of experimental teams who focus on asking the sort of human-centered questions that relate to the basic delivery of goods and services to residents in the city of Boston. The Boston Public Schools Experience Lab collaborates with the Boston Public School District to think about how do we improve or amplify the experience of interacting with the district for whoever you are. The BPS Experience Lab, I think at its core, asks questions related to design and tries to bring principles of human-centered design at the very beginning of our process. So one example is just getting out there and doing some basic user research, which might seem like a very obvious thing to do, but can often be difficult when you're in a system or a big institution that has day-to-day operations that it has to run every single day. It can be difficult to get out and go talk to the people whose decisions or who are impacted by your decisions. And so we sort of switch between those layers of central office, school level, down to the student level to really understand what actually does this look and feel like, rather than sort of theorizing about it in our offices. And then I would say another principle that the BPS Experience Lab uses often is iteration. We really like to sort of build something simple and small and get it out into the world and then get feedback on it from those people who are affected by it. The BPS Experience Lab has been collaborating with BPS Food and Nutrition Services since the summer of this year, of 2016, and that collaboration started largely because a new executive director came into that team and had a lot of ideas and was very excited and sort of raised her hand and said, hey, we'd love any extra support that the district can offer. We want to do things differently. We want to continue to raise the bar on the quality of food, the experience of being in a cafeteria. So we worked with the administration at the school, worked with Food and Nutrition Services, talked to the kitchen managers to say, hey, we're just going to come, we just want to observe and see what your sort of lunch logistics look like, and we would love to ask your students what do they like and not like about mealtime at school, and if they could change the physical space in some way, how might they want to change it? And so we ended up getting over 100 student responses through visiting various schools, which was the beginning of a database to say, okay, how might we turn this into something that is scalable? Or did we ask the right questions? How did students react to us asking them these questions? Did they want to tell us more? Were they confusing questions? And then from there, how do we turn that feedback into iterations on things like the recipes that we serve, the way that the space is constructed? Is there a way that we could, rearrange tables or bring in some new posters or maybe paint something in conjunction with our facilities team who's undergoing their district-wide facilities assessment right now? How do we leverage some of that work that's happening to bring about the change that students want to see and that they're interested in seeing for their schools? What does that look like by age band? So there's a lot of nuance and variation in the set of schools that comprise Boston Public Schools, and so thinking about how do we build in that flexibility, knowing that there's probably one person at Food and Nutrition Services who's going to have to manage this and have to be sort of the intake person. So you want to give flexibility and give the ability to sort of acknowledge the uniqueness of each situation, but also make it usable and user-friendly for the person on the inside of the district who's going to be running that process. The nutrition work is in the sort of explore phase. So New Urban Mechanics tries to work in kind of a funnel. So we sort of explore and then we kind of experiment with a couple of things and then we evaluate. And we're constantly doing that across all of our projects. And I would say the Food and Nutrition Services work is largely in the explore phase, starting to get into that sort of funnel where we start to experiment. So the student feedback piece is one side of it. Within the constraints that we have, around building constraints, USDA regulations, state regulations, local regulations. What are some things that we can do on sort of the menu side of the world? So we're thinking about what are some things we'd like to prototype. Also, how do we get more recipes into the district? So we work with Project Bread, their Chefs in Schools program, which is a wonderful way to get new sort of student-tested recipes into our recipe bank, but how do we bring that to scale? So trying to think about how do we involve more people in that process to get more voices in, to get more of the diversity that we want to see in our menu bank. I think a sort of classic New Urban Mechanics lesson that we've learned is that governments or bureaucracies often build the things that they know how to build, and so you just get more of the same thing, when really you should be asking, is this something that people want or need? And if it's not, then you need to figure out how to go get the skills or how to go get the thing that will enable you to build something that people want and need, not just the thing that you've always done, that you know how to do. And so I think design is sort of the application of thoughtful inquiry within a set of constraints to further serve the people that you are working for and with. Some of the language of design might be new for educators, but I think in particular educators have been doing this forever. They always think about who is their audience, how do you tailor the message to the audience, how do you really empathize with the person or people sitting in front of you and make sure that what you're doing is actually meeting their needs. I think that's been a hallmark of education for a long time, and we're just trying to equip people with new tools and new language and a new approach that they can use in complement with the other things that they're already doing to think about issues in education or problems in education in just a slightly reframed way.